I'm so tired of feeling like I need to purchase more things to make me happy or feel accomplished in life. This was exactly how I was feeling a year ago when I was working towards chasing the material accumulation, thinking that this was the way for me to live the best life. The reason why I was having this perspective was the fact that I grew up in an environment where I sensed the importance of money and following the latest trend of physical items as a means to gaining respect and love from others, and that I was influenced by external things such as TV ads, movies, and social media that often described material success as the most important thing on this earth. Once I finished university and started working for a company, I thought that I would be able to acquire these luxurious things by working as hard as possible and earn more and more money. Then I finally got to the point where I could afford some nice clothes that I used not to be able to purchase when I was a teenager. When I bought some nice clothes and finally accomplished one of my dreams, I thought it would make me happy for a long time. However, the reality was that I felt really empty on the inside. My thought was like, is this it? I thought that the excitement would last a bit longer, and simultaneously I felt like I wasn't enough because I could only afford nice clothes, but couldn't still afford a nice house or a luxurious car. Subconsciously, I set the requirement for happiness as owning luxurious items, and although I got to the point where I could afford more, but yet there were so many things that I couldn't afford, which made me feel that I wasn't enough. Then I came across minimalism, and one of the key teachings was that less is more. The reason why I decided to apply some minimalism principles into my life was simply that I wasn't becoming happier by pursuing more. Well, I was becoming unhappy by pursuing more, to be precise. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again in expecting different results. My aim was always to live my life with joy and appreciation. To accomplish this life for me, how I would get there didn't matter, so that I could try something completely different, in this case minimalism, to experiment if this would fit into my life better than my old value of pursuing more to become happy. At the time, I was moving back to Japan from New Zealand, where I had spent 8 years of my life, and I was getting ready to start a new life back home. Around that time, I started to slowly apply some minimalism principles into my life, and it's been about a year since I became a minimalist. So in this video, I decided to share with you 4 important lessons that I learned as a minimalist. Don't worry, having coffee the first thing in the morning as a minimalist is not included in one of the most important lessons, although I would love to believe it is. Minimalism gives you freedom. I understand that minimalism looks different to each of us. For some, it might mean to have fewer than 100 items in their house. For others, it might mean to live in a van or only have things that fit in a backpack. To me, minimalism means to create freedom, which is to establish an environment where I can focus on the things that really matter to me and let me live a life with joy and happiness. I used to care so much about what others thought of me constantly. For example, I used to care how I came across to people, like, am I friendly enough? Am I perceived as interesting by someone that I'm talking to? I used to also care about how I looked every day, such as, which shirt am I gonna wear? If I wear this shirt, then which pants would go well with the shirt, etc. I guess I wanted to be seen as an amazing guy by others all the time. But since I learned about minimalism and started focusing on decluttering, especially what was on my mind, I realized that what I used to care about was so insignificant, and most of them were not under my control. For example, people would think that my sense of fashion is terrible if they thought it was, while others might see it as okay or pretty good. How people think of me or judge me is nothing to do with what I do, but it's always about their own opinions, and the opinion can differ depending on the person. So instead of worrying about how I came across to others, I could start focusing on expressing my natural self, and if they don't like who I am naturally, then that's tough and I move on. Because of this perspective, I could become true to myself around others, and I worry less about things that I used to care about so much. As a result, I started to be able to live my life more freely and less stressful than before, which you can clearly tell the difference from a video that I made a year ago in comparison to my recent videos. Look at the serious and rather stressed face and aura compared to how I am these days with a relaxed and positive appearance coming out of me. No wonder why my video views weren't going well at the time, because this guy looks too serious for my liking. Minimalism taught me to focus on what can be controlled. If it weren't for minimalism, I wouldn't probably keep making videos on YouTube. Some of you might point out the fact that I had been making videos for many years, even before I became a minimalist. This is such a great point, but I would like to mention that I wasn't as happy as I am now about posting videos on YouTube until I became a minimalist. This is because of my old value, which was that I used to want my opinions and perspectives to be always right and matter, and I couldn't handle the negative comments towards myself or videos that I made with so much passion. You know, I used to get comments like, "Your English isn't good, you don't sound like a native English speaker, you're just an attention seeker that wants to post videos and gets likes because that's what you are," sort of thing. I must admit to you that I have argued with people who left negative comments on my videos just because I was self-righteous. I sound like a total dick right now, but I must say that I used to be like that, unfortunately. But I noticed that no matter how much I wrote back to the negative comments, it didn't get better at all. In fact, it became worse because I started to feel insecure about posting videos because I knew that I was going to get negative comments regardless of the content that I created. Returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Minimalism taught me to focus on what can be controlled in life. In other words, it taught me not to worry about what cannot be controlled. At the end of the day, I cannot control other people's opinions and perspectives about me or the content that I post on YouTube. A lot of people might resonate with what I say. Doesn't mean that every single person who watches my videos think exactly the same. The only thing that I can control is how I create my content, which is about delivering my perspectives and opinions on topics that I'm passionate about. But after it's posted on the platform, then things like how people react, comment, like or dislike are what I have no control over, and hence there's no point for me to worry about those things. When it comes to creating videos these days, I focus on being down to earth and show what I truly think about things from the bottom of my heart, even if it's something that might cause controversies, because I simply want you to see my true self without any filters. I believe that it's better to walk alone and being myself than to be loved and praised for what I am not. I do focus on being authentic and true to myself and to all of you on YouTube. And if you don't like who I am, then I apologize that I can't make everyone happy. We upgrade too often. Brands do such an amazing job coming up with many creative ways to convince us to purchase the newest items, such as phones, laptops, shoes, and clothes, to replace what we already own. But do we really need to upgrade? Will those new design, functions, image quality, or trendy colors make your life so much better than what it is now, or improve your life in any way? Well, this is something that you need to consciously choose, but you may find that what you already have perfectly meets your needs. I mean, for clothes and shoes, I live in such a rural place in Japan that even if I go for a walk outside, I only see a few people walking on the street, which makes me feel like, what is the point of trying to dress up when there's literally no one around me? When I came back to Japan from New Zealand last year, the very first thing that I had to purchase was my smartphone, and I wasn't sure what brand I should go with. Then I thought about how I normally use my previous smartphones and figured that I only used them for calling, texting, and watching some YouTube videos. Although the majority of Japanese people own iPhones or other popular brands like Sony, I decided to go with Huawei that was selling at 500 yen in a local electronics shop that I visited. I just thought that it was super cheap and had all the functionalities that I needed. I've been using this phone for almost a year now, but it's been working for me perfectly. After I became a minimalist, I noticed the difference in how I choose to shop in comparison to how I used to spend money on things. Now I spend more time doing research on things that I consider getting, which means that I have become more intentional with my purchasing habit. Because of this, I believe I've been able to spend my money on things or life experiences that are important to me or improve my life. It won't solve all of your problems. When I started applying some minimalism principles to my life, I never thought that it would solve all of my problems. I guess I learned a lesson from making the mistake of thinking that purchasing more things would make me happy because it didn't end up working for me at all. So I didn't have such high expectations for minimalism. Although I've been a minimalist for a year, I still make a lot of mistakes and feel frustrated about the fact that I logically understand that something is not important based on minimalism, but I'm worried about it and I can't explain why, for example. But I know that if I want to be good at something, it doesn't happen overnight and it takes so much time, just like how I've been learning English for over 80 years and it's still not perfect at all. Sorry, I went off track, but I believe that the main difference between how I used to live and how I currently live with minimalism in mind is the consciousness of my day-to-day living. I guess it's like watching a movie actively or without thinking about anything. If you watch a movie actively, then you may learn something new or may find new interpretations of the movie, but if you just watch it without thinking about anything, then you might not even remember what happened in the movie. For me, minimalism is just like that. It teaches me to take a close look at what I normally do subconsciously. It makes me think twice about things that I always take for granted, or I may not even notice them if I don't look at the same things through the lens of minimalism. Although minimalism didn't solve all of my problems, and I still make so many mistakes as a minimalist on a daily basis, I feel so grateful that I'm able to live my life with minimalism in mind because it has definitely helped me live a simple life with more happiness and joy, which is what I always dreamed of. I'm just excited to learn more about minimalism as I practice and experience it myself over the years. That's the end of the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed this topic. If you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up because when you hit the like button, the YouTube algorithm helps my channel grow and reach people who are interested in the topics that I discuss on my channel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing and I will keep striving to create videos that are worth your time. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below and I will see you guys later. Bye!